right. Hey, Matt, how's it going? Thanks for being in the chat. I know you had a busy night catching some riff tracks. So that was the like simulcast, like the streaming to the theater, or was it an actual like tour event? It seems like a BMX movie would be good in California. So, as you can tell, it's a solo cast, maybe from that rainy opening. A solo cast this week. Chris has a sick little one at home, so everything was canceled today. And hopefully it's not, yeah, we don't know yet exactly what it is, but there still is some of the good old pandemic floating around in Japan. So we'll see. Nice. Yeah, nothing like a cheesy, cheesy '80s movie. That's a movie I would suspect like one of the riders would, or the BMX riders would take their helmet off, and oh my God, it's a girl. That's an '80s trope that I'm sure they covered. Oh man, yeah, that's very cool. I'm so glad they're still doing that, and that the writing is still so on point. So it's better than going to see the Candela Obscura simulcast, which is a thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, they got a contract to do that. Season two will be in theaters. I think it's Landmark Theaters near you if you want to see that. Yeah, so I was just looking. Somebody posted on Twitter the tickets sold. I guess this is for the playing the tables in at Gen Con at Gen Con 2023. They were doing the tickets sold by numbers, I guess, at the tables, and they did a top 20 and then lumped everything. So other like things that weren't in the top 20 is actually more than D&D, but D&D is at the top with 29.7%, so almost 30% of the games were D&D. We don't know if that's only 5e, that's all flavors, all varieties, but others like things that aren't these bigger systems were just as plentiful. So that's good. That must mean that smaller publishers are getting their say. I kept seeing in the press and stuff, like people would say they'd abbreviate Indiana to Gen Con Indy. And that kept confusing me because I thought, oh my God, is there an actual like independent, like an indie event for for smaller, game designers and studios? But no, they're just saying Indianapolis, and they don't know how to spell it or whatever. So that kept getting me excited about. Well, maybe there is something. No, there's not. It's just how they spell Indianapolis. So a quick rundown if you haven't seen this. It's on Twitter. Ben at Rogue Caliber posted this. And you just search hashtag Gen Con. I'm sure it'll come up. So D&D was number one, 20 or 30%. Number two is Pathfinder, but a distant second at 7.4%. Dungeon Crawl Classics is third. Tales of the Valiant, that's a good showing for Kobold Press, but no one's seen the game, or maybe had the game at tables yet. So that's a good a good thing. So Tales of the Valiant's fourth. Project Black Flag, when it was in development. Call of Cthulhu 5, Shadowrun 6. I was surprised. I didn't know Shadowrun was so active. Starfinder 7, Legend of the Five Rings 8, Everyday Heroes 9. So that was just completed their crowdfunding, and I think that's one of those you can do anything you want. I haven't looked into it very much. I saw some promotion for it, but a system that can do anything for anyone. 10 is Avatar Legends, which had a huge Kickstarter, so you'd think it would be higher. 11, Root. 12, Daggerheart, which we'll talk about a little bit later. 13 was Old Gods of Appalachia, the Monty Cook game that had a big crowdfunder. 14 was the West End Star Wars, the D6 Star Wars. 15 is Savage World. 16 is Candela Obscura. So now we're down into the sub 1%. 17 Dragonbane, which is good. I'm glad they made some kind of showing. 18 is Hero System, 19 Cyberpunk, and 20 is Star Wars, which I think would be the Fantasy Flight Wacky Dice system. And then, yeah, other RPGs were 35.1%. So interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting. I'm surprised. Like people do really stick to their favorite, like Shadowrun making that kind of appearance, or Legend of the Five Rings. People have these games that they love and always love, and maybe, want to play publicly. Cipher System. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Legend of the Five Rings. That was funny. Yeah, so interesting, interesting numbers, and they're not really saying what those are, but I think it is just it says tickets sold, so I think that's for the table space. So they have some sort of numbers about what's active in those spaces. So that's interesting enough. But yeah, so are you ready, Matt? Tomorrow for the we're going to do one more Knave session and kind of get to the hopefully get to the end of what Matt had planned so far, and then maybe after that, the next week after that, some Star Trek. So I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying to get into the mindset and the mode for Star Trek and kind of catch up on some of the stuff. Just and watching a couple of series that I'd never had any experience with, just so I have some idea. But I think the system itself, I've seen a couple of interesting. Modifius did actually a pretty good playthrough or actual play of Star Trek, and I like the system a lot. I think it can go. It can be combat heavy, so it can be, you can push it to be almost J.J. Abrams, Star Trek, or very much the TNG, or even the classic era. I think the system works well for all those things, and I think the players will notice, because we did John Carter 2D20 before, so there's a couple of things that stick around, like momentum sticks around, so that logic that you kind of have to get your head into for why you'd want to do things like make rolls early to begin to generate momentum, and this one seems to have a little bit more offering threat in situations where you want to uncomplicate things or prevent characters from dying. You can offer threat to the game master, which I'm forgetting what it's called. Hopefully it's just called game master. They always have cute names for it, but yeah, so we'll give that a shot. So if you're listening to this and you're going to be around tomorrow, keep an eye out for the notification for the live stream. Nice. So Matt's either captain or the naive ensign. No in between. So lower decks or Kirk. Nice. Or Commodore, right? Yeah, you can roll. If you just keep rolling, career event, career event, career event. Yeah, you eventually, but you could die. You could be killed by by the Borg or Romulans before you get that far. Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. I mentioned this on the cartoon stream, but I was watching a little bit of Enterprise, which I never got past the opening theme. It was like Scott Bakula, that trashy opening. Nope. I think I watched the first episode, said I can't do this. But now it seems quaint. Like now, 20 years later, it seems it has the charm of 90s television in its writing, and it's episodic, which we're barely seeing anymore. Especially for like Discovery, got away from that pretty fast. But yeah, I'm surprised. There's some good stuff, and I like the early, like the Andorians and the Romulans, and there's a lot of and Klingon. There's a lot of early contact, and it's it's very interesting because it's like nobody knows what to do. So their writing is very clean slate, where they're just approaching it very like, what's the Vulcan database say? So yeah, that's good. I liked what they did with that. It's too bad that only got 4 seasons, which might have been enough. I don't know if it was cut short, but yeah, it's surprisingly a nice fresh approach, which they didn't really do. I didn't feel like Discovery thought it was like smarter than it was, and its writing room and everything was packed with people that I think outsmarted themselves and didn't really want to write Star Trek. I don't know what they thought they were writing, but yeah, it was a funny thing. Ah, right. Yeah, yeah. It seems like there is a lot of that. Trying to trying to update things. But yeah, and so we'll see. And I'm curious what the players will want to do, because I think this system can play pulpier original series style, like kind of two fisted, like logic and negotiations. But if all else fails, just start swinging. I think the system can play that, and it can also play very, logical and deductive, and you can basically have situations almost outsmarted before you even like beam down or take a shuttle into the midst of things, based on how they set it up. Uh, oh, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to uh, keep watching them. I'm not out of the first season yet of Enterprise. And the thing that I like about it too, which I don't feel that with some of the Netflix, or I mean, the streaming, it was on Netflix, but it's all over the place now. I think in Japan, all of the Star Trek, the new Trek, is on Amazon Prime. But the thing I like is it's not so heavy that you can't just have it on in the background and kind of half pay attention to it. That's the kind of TV I forgot existed, because some of these continuing narratives and stuff, there's things with the serial way that a lot of streaming stuff is written, that you if you miss anything, you can like not understand what's going on in the story. It's too difficult. Nice. Yeah, all right. Yes, a genetically altered Klingon mole that doesn't know but may know. He doesn't. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that was rough. Barely made it through that first season of Discovery, and then just gave up when they. I think when they had their money troubles with Netflix. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I gave up on that pretty quick when they had their weird pacifist fish people, and then they did the short treks, and I don't know. It's weird. It's yeah. It's odd that the post, what do they call it, they solved all the kind of social and political issues, the Federation did, and then they're going out into the world to share and explore what they've achieved, what humanity has achieved on Earth. And they're still going to go back into gender politics, and it's weird. So none of the so that stuff just exists in the Federation now. There's still like this like angry feminist, commodores and generals that are despising the men, and it's very weird how they wrote that. It doesn't. It's post scarcity. That's what they call the setting. So that post scarcity is so optimistic, and the current writing just drags it back. Maybe not Strange New Worlds, but Picard and Discovery just drag it back into, oh, and everyone's alcoholic, and they've got shitty ex husbands, and it's weird. Yeah, I don't like the yeah, how if you don't know how to write for the setting, just don't do it. uh yes, you have to play the genetically altered Klingon. Oh, that was terrible. I don't know where they thought they were going to go with that. Yeah, it's very funny. So sorry, it's just a monologue. It's me talking to chat for this whole stream. But we should probably get started. And I've got a kind of a lesser microphone. My main microphone is on the fritz, so apologies if the sound is not quite what it usually is, but but we'll get started. So let's get started for this week, and good to see you in the chat, Matt. Thanks for hanging out, and yeah, if it's feel free to if you're just lurking to message either before or after we go through the topics. I hope my voice is going to hang in here. Already I'm feeling feeling like I'm losing it. What a day. All right. So let's get started for this week. Welcome to the weekly. I'm Jeremy, and it's just me this week. Sorry, it's a solo cast. Chris was tied up with a sick daughter, so we'll go through some topics today, and maybe we'll talk about them again. We'll kind of refresh everything and talk about them next week when I have a co-host, so we can get a little more back and forth. But this week on the weekly, the Gen Con Magic Heist update with some suspects, Daggerheart details from Gen Con, the Fire and Ice board game is on Kickstarter, and Joyride by Rebellion Unplugged, the guys that bought the rights for Tunnels and Trolls. All right, so let's get started with a wacky update for the Gen Con $300,000 heist, right? The Nerd Ocean's 11, the Lufthansa robbery of the nerd world. So there were two people that they caught on camera, or that they suspected on camera from the convention, walking away with a pallet. They had a pallet jack and were walking away with a pallet of trading cards, which they, I think, determined were mostly, if not all, Magic the Gathering cards. And it turns out the two persons of interest that the Indianapolis police are looking at may have been identified as board game designers. So I guess it's kind of that's the end run around crowdfunding, is just robbing vendors at Gen Con. I mean, why wait for all those people to put their credit cards in and give you all the information when you can just yoink a pallet of Magic cards to fund your next project. So they have been named. So Thomas J. Dunbar and Andrew Pearson Giaume. So there've been several sources have named them. So we're not not new to this. Not the first ones here. So these are the two persons of interest, and the way that they kind of connected them was funny. So they had security camera footage from the Indiana Convention Center. The police looked at them and found out that one of them was wearing a T-shirt in other images of the two individuals before they had their pallet jack and before they're walking away with cards. They were wearing T-shirts promoting the board game that they kickstarted back in 2015. Or I guess a previous project. They kickstarted a game called Castle Assault back in 2015. And we're wearing a T-shirt with the artwork and logo. So Castle Assault logo and key art on a dark T-shirt appeared August 1st. So 2 days before the theft occurred, they were caught on camera. The same individuals wearing that, and they're assuming that they attended the show to sell Castle Assault or have a booth. More details, I'm sure, will come out, but that is the piece of information that connected, that gave us the identity of these individuals and connected them, because there are photos on Facebook of them standing in front of that logo at a booth of some sort, maybe in previous years, and then they were caught with the T-shirts. So I guess they didn't do it the day of, so they were clever enough the day of to just wear all black and not give away their company's ID or whatever on their T-shirts. But yeah, I guess they've the game has been present at numerous Gen Con conventions over the years, for the past 8 years. But this year they just decided no crowdfunding this year. We're gonna Lufthansa heist this bad boy, and walk out with that much $300,000 they're estimating, and I'm not sure if that's retail value or what they're assuming is this inflated secondary market for Magic cards. But yeah, so they have names for their suspects, and we'll hopefully see mugshots if they are actually arrested and charged with this theft. So I would imagine unless you hired people like third parties to do something like this, you probably shouldn't do it yourself with all the cameras and security and the number of people that would spot you, because pulling a pallet doesn't look suspicious, but a lot of people are going to see you do it, and they can put the timing together because you're doing it at a specific time of the day. They just have to isolate when that disappeared. And then your names get posted all over the internet. So it wasn't 11. It didn't take 11 people. It only took 2. So the Gen Con 2 have been identified. So hopefully they're sitting on an island somewhere. They're in Costa Rica right now, opening packs. So how long do you think it would take to open a pallet worth of Magic cards? And why wouldn't they do it on a live stream? So they're live streaming from their Bahamas getaway. But yeah, so the logo of their game that they crowdfunded appeared on both their social media and their T-shirts and at previous days, and that made the connection. So there we go. So we'll keep you updated as to what happens, and we'll find out if crime does not pay, or in fact this is the new way to get your game to market. So yeah, the Gen Con heist, the plot thickens. So nobody bought their wife a fur coat or a pink Cadillac, but yeah, they did wear their company shirts, unfortunately. All right. And again, from Gen Con, we have, and I'm not sure, so this was listed, Daggerheart was listed on that list that we read previously to the podcast. There was a list of tickets sold maybe for the play tables at Gen Con, and Daggerfall did show up in the middle of that list. So it was demoed at the event. So we don't know details because this is a new game, a new system, maybe first look for some people. Are there NDAs? Are there like no cameras? Do they request no cameras? Because somebody did take a few sneaky snaps quickly with their smartphone. So we got a couple of blurry images of character sheets and cards. Hint, hint, there's going to be cards. And details about how this game played. So I think it was comicbook.com that posted, so the character sheet on comicbook.com on YouTube posted some of this information. It's been kind of going around to tabletop YouTubers. And it's surprising. Some of these details are surprising and a bit disappointing. So this is the fantasy system that Critical Role will probably be moving away from 5e to their original homebrew system, or their originally designed system, and will be published by Darrington Press, probably their publishing arm. And who knows if it's going to gain traction. We've already had their take on Blades in the Dark with their Candela Obscura system. And so what is Daggerheart? How are they going to be playing fantasy roleplay on Critical Role in the future? Well, it's a 2d12 system. So if you've really felt bad all these years about that neglected d12 that hardly ever gets rolled, well, there you go. You get 2 of them now. And in the system, those 2 d12s need to be different colors because they represent 2 different mechanics or 2 different things. So one will be the hope die and one will be the fear die. And you're rolling against target numbers on these d12s. And whichever is higher and succeeds means that you succeeded in hope or you succeeded in fear, or with hope or with fear. And that will mean, so if you succeed with hope, I get to see Conan. Conan swings his mighty sword in hope. And there's a hope resource, so maybe something similar to momentum or inspiration or something that is generated by succeeding with hope. So it's kind of a yes, a pass in the situation, and you may get some sort of narrative bonus. If you succeed with fear, it will be a mixed success, and there may be some sort of narrative consequence. So similar to rolling, not quite a success in a Powered by the Apocalypse, or some of the games that have a success with conditions type thing. So that's a little strange, and that's not going to really fit everybody's idea of fantasy role play, but you are using D12, so D12 producers are so happy now they're going to sell more. And the details on character creation, so it's going to be very modular, and similar to Gloomhaven, it's card-based. So you've got a character sheet with a lot of slots for cards, and you're just going to be putting these cards in to represent. Then the text of the card will have a lot of the mechanics, or the maybe the flavor text or whatever to flesh out the system. So you have an ancestry, which is basically a hometown, a class, and the class will have different domains. So each class can have 2 domains. So it will maybe flavor it sounds like it's going to be very standard fantasy classes, but the domains may help you flavor them differently. So you can specialize in healing, or specialize in stealth, or something with your class to make it a little more to your play style, and more to the kind of idea you have for your character. And there'll be abilities that you can access from these cards, and you can only have 5 active abilities at once. And I think this will all be represented by cards, not actually like written in a character sheet, but so illustrated cards, and the kind of fuzzy photos we saw of them, they look like they're going to be nicely illustrated, and very similar to Gloomhaven. The look of it will be very similar to like laying out cards for your Gloomhaven character. And the world building, so the world building is going to be collaborative. They're going to work together, so all the weight's not going to be on the GM. The players are going to be asked to describe and name the city that they're adventuring in, and this description that I read, which was on Daggerheart.org, which looks like it was a website that was built by text to speech, or speech to text, speech to text, because it was a description of everything with a lot of and ums in it. So I don't know what that means. So somebody did a quick and dirty website talking to their WordPress or whatever. So instant stakes in the city, and you'll name the major PCs, and be involved a lot in the narrative setup of the game. So I guess that, and I think it's meant to be very campaign friendly. Your world building and then creating a campaign, probably similar to what Critical Role has done in their 5e campaigns. So group world building, and then death and damage have a little bit different mechanics as well. There's a threshold system, and you have 3 different thresholds that you can take damage to. So when damage is rolled on different dice, if it doesn't beat a certain threshold, you don't take any points of damage. And so I guess different classes may be able to handle whatever it's going to be, like mental or physical or energy, whatever these types of thresholds will be. But the death, there are no death saves. So instead of death saves, you can kind of make a decision once you're at 0 points in any or all of these thresholds. You can make a decision to do 3 things. Your character can go out in a blaze of glory, meaning that they get a guaranteed critical, so an automatic critical success, and take their opponent with them. They can lose all hope, and which will fuel different abilities or help aid others or yourself. So if you lose your hope, I guess you can spend all of that to try to resurrect yourself or try to help somebody else. If you're going for if the total party kill is seems to be happening, or you can roll your hope or fear, or roll your hope and fear, and hope for a to get a high. The third way is basically just rolling both dice and trying to get higher in hope and having some sort of narrative consequence. So you'll die, but there'll be some positive thing that happens or negative thing that happens when your character goes. Anyhow, so they also named 27 Ancestries, so that's going to be a lot. And then the classes are mixed, like I said, with the domains. So, like, rogues or rangers or whatever will have different things they can kind of spec into. So a little bit more, like computer RPG in that thinking. And so it sounds really, really odd. And maybe if the mechanics just get out of the way and they're going to be able to switch the systems behind the scenes, and you're not going to really see the difference between 5e's not there. They're rolling D12s instead of D20s, and they're rolling 2 of them. But other than that, the actual plays remain the same. We'll have to see. So it looks like a system with mechanical crunch and narrative storytelling kind of balanced. But of course, for their actual plays, they're going to want heavy narrative storytelling. So we'll see how this is received, and as more people that were at these tables kind of leak information, and then as Darrington Press or Critical Role officially starts talking about this system and then starts playing it, we'll get an idea. And I'm curious because we looked at those numbers. D&D still dominates, and the curiosity of this got some people at the table, but will this actually take a big enough bite, more than the 10% that Paizo has? Will this take a big enough bite out of 5e to even matter? And will the success, the continued popularity of Critical Role go on without 5e? I mean, if they do part ways, once this new revised 5e thing's happening next year and Daggerheart's rolled out, will people just stick with those characters and stick with the thing that they love? The critters will stick with it, or will people be, or will they stick with 5e? So I guess we're going to find out. It's kind of like the parents, calling the puppy or the child both to them and come to me, and we'll see where the critters actually toddle off to. Will they stay with wizards, or will they follow their wonderful all that fan art that they did? They don't want it to be irrelevant. And follow Critical Role into the Daggerheart system. So, neither of those sound, none of those things sound amazing or very innovative. It's funny. I mean, there's interesting things if you're going to stick with a D12. It's not as swingy as a D20. And there's interesting things you can do with it because it's divisible. Like, you can basically only roll the same dice. I don't like this, fear and hope thing. But a D12 could be fun if your system is just based on like multiples of 3 or multiples of 4, and you're kind of breaking things down. Because you can roll a D12 and get all sorts of, get a D6 out of it, you can get a D4 out of it, you can get a D3 out of it. So, that there's some things that you could kind of play around with in that system, sticking to minimal dice use. But it sounds like they're going to have the full, D4 through D, maybe not 20, maybe 12 will be as high as they go. But that was unexpected. I don't love the hope and fear. I think that's a little soft. I think kind of pulpier, blood and guts, sword and sorcery kind of role play is not gonna need a lot of fear and hope mechanics. So we'll see, but maybe it's a new system for a new generation of weak ass players. Anyhow, well, speaking of old school and sword and sorcery, there is a board game based on a classic Ralph Bakshi film. So Dynamite comic, or Dynamite Entertainment, I guess they're broader than comics. Dynamite Entertainment has the license for the Frank Frazetta and Ralph Bakshi film Fire and Ice. And so Fire and Ice is going to get a miniatures adventure game. So that's currently on Kickstarter. And it's set to be released in May, I guess, of next year. Released in May. And the game is inspired by of course, the film. The screenplay was written by Roy Thomas and Gary Conway. And basically the setting, if you don't know, it's a very rotoscoped, surprise, surprise, Ralph Bakshi in the 80s, 70s and 80s. It's a very rotoscoped, but the character art, of course, the character designs are based on Frazetta illustrations, but it's, it's very slow moving and quiet, and is just a lot of people climbing on things, and probably in 16 millimeter film that was then rotoscoped with the Frazetta character designs. So the setting is the Kingdom of Fire, the glacial sorcery of the evil Lord Necron and the heroes of Fire Keep. So those are the two kind of opposing forces, and it's basically everyone in loincloths. Some people looking more sinister than others and more primitive than others as well. So there's going to be card play and dice involved in this miniature game to resolve the battles. It's a competitive tactical skirmish level game, but there is also going to be a rules-light role-playing game system. So you can actually play narratively and play stories with what they're going to give you in the board game in kind of a rules-light RPG. So you can have your play your own version of the events of the film, and see if anybody puts any clothes on. So the game will include a dozen 32 millimeter miniatures, 72 cards, 6 10-sided dice, so it'll be D10s, 200 tokens, and 4 game boards, which will variously have jungles and fire and ice on them. And of course, they're going to unlock additional miniatures and materials for the game as the campaign succeeds. So 1 to 2 hours for gameplay. So Dynamite is got the rights to this. But this also means so Dynamite is working with Sarah Frazetta, the grandchild of Frank. And so she's involved with them writing some of their other comics. I think she's doing a Vampirella series with them. But this also means that there's going to be a Fire and Ice, or maybe it's already being published, a Fire and Ice comic series. Bill Willingham, an old illustrator from early D&D, is working with Dynamite to write. Oh, it's a prequel. Yeah, it's a prequel series to the Fire and Ice films. So they're going to be launching this, I guess, along with the board game. So it's not out yet, and there'll be a nice, some nice cover illustrations. Of course, there'll be alternate cover designs for Fire and Ice #1. So the one thing though that complicated this crowdfunding, I took a look at the page, and it's pretty straightforward. The game and the components look pretty straightforward, but the pledge levels have way too much. Dynamite is promoting the comic book. They're promoting signed comic books. They're promoting art cards, the alternate covers on collector cards and stuff. So there's so many pledge levels. That's all kinds of random stuff, which would have been better as just add-on or things you can get in the pledge manager, but they're listing all the things. So the game is only one of maybe 8 or 10 options that all involve getting some other Dynamite property that's being produced through this Fire and Ice IP, whether it's art illustrations or the comic books or whatever. So yeah, that's a little confusing, and it's probably going to hurt them ultimately in the amount that they make. But yeah, they're a comic book company, and so alternate covers and signed work and stuff is their bread and butter. So I guess it's a comic book company doing a crowdfunder. So I'll put a link to this, and I didn't see the date on when this closes, but it's still going on right now. I'm not sure how much. Oh, thanks for the follow. Excellent. Yeah, I don't know how much we're gonna it's going to see as far as success, because when you do that stuff, when you kind of confuse people with wait, what am I backing here, and I wanted a board game and you're trying to sell me comic books, sometimes that tends to hurt these these types of campaigns. So we'll see how it goes. The miniatures look okay. They're just showing you 3D renders, and it's cool to see those characters that the Frazetta designs done in 3D. But we're just getting 3D renders. We don't have any. Maybe there. I don't think there's any prototype like actual plays. They're a little on the generic side. They're not too stylized one way or another. If you're really going to lean into the Frazetta stuff, they might be a little more muscly, ripply, and detailed and stuff. But they you can tell who the characters are. They're very obviously those characters from the film. And I wonder if this rules light RPG is kind of just an afterthought to kind of have value added, or if it is actually going to be something that'll be fun to do with the game. So we'll see. So check that out if you're interested in it. I don't know. I'm kind of like I like that setting. I like that film. But it's a product of its age. And we had so little, sword and sorcery kind of fantasy stuff. I mean, it was the only animated film where we actually saw, had that kind of experience, because something like Wizards and stuff was a much more wackier and cartoonier fantasy setting. With still a lot of rotoscoping. So this was, realistic looking characters, Frazetta character design, and a kind of just a tense and weird setting. There's a lot of capture and escape and things, and pretty brutal looking hand to hand combat. So if they get that kind of feeling across with the board game rules and stuff, that might be nice. So we'll see. And so Dynamite they're gonna try to cash in on this. And there was on the page too. Ralph Bakshi even had a statement that said, he wishes Frazetta was alive to work on this project, and he hopes that it's successful. So they were in touch with Ralph Bakshi about this project, and he gave his blessing. So it doesn't seem to be a cash grab. It seems like, well, I mean, they're grabbing some cash, but it's not solely that. People are it's a bit of a passion project. But because it's a comic book company, they seem to not be handling the crowdfunding. They're like, hey, comic books, you guys like comic books, right? It's like, well, wait, with this, it's a board game. You can add that in or do a separate campaign for your comic book, but you don't have to put everything you're producing for this IP all in here at once. And staying on the Kickstarter, so the company Rebellion Unplugged, the company that just recently acquired the rights for Tunnels and Trolls, and I guess all of the Trollhalla, they're also doing or they're not doing, but the rights were bought back from them for Trollhalla to do the original guys to do the Traps series of books. They're going to republish those for, I think, updated for 5e as that kind of hardcover slipcase set. So we'll see those again. But what I'm talking about and what's currently on Kickstarter is Joyride, Survival of the Fastest. So it's a hex-based kind of fast-paced action driving game. So I guess it's a race with weapons and traps and things. So it reminded me very much, and especially the top-down design of the game board pieces reminded me very much of early Car Wars art. But it's more stylized, more the color scheme and everything is brighter and more like 2000 AD. British 80s British comics style. So a car combat on a track for up to 4 players. So Pi Par is the comic book artist that's doing the work, and it's beautiful artwork. It if you like Tank Girl or any of the more gonzo 2000 AD properties and those artists, he's definitely one of those talented artists to bring that kind of frenetic crashing and falling apart car combat imagery. So it looks good. They did a couple levels of the pledge. So the basic game itself is going to contain 20 dice, 32 damage tokens, 24 ability tokens, initiative markers, gear sticks, and they do like little playing pieces that represent so similar to other car games. I'm totally blanking on the Osprey car combat game, but you shift gears. So the gear that you're in, so on your little dashboard, you actually have a gear shifter to mark what gear your car is in, and so the same way that it'll have consequences. So safe or reckless for maneuvers, and I think you're going to be rolling in that same way. So I'm curious if the system is as satisfying or as fun as Car Wars or a Gaslands. That's right. Or similar to, it looks a bit similar to Gaslands. Like you're in a gear and you're rolling against that, and there's little consequences, and also weapons and pickups. So maybe Mario Kart style pickups. But the pieces, and I think it's 1-inch hexes. So the cars themselves were surprisingly big. It's like a 2-inch car piece that has that maneuvers on a track. So instead of having to use a tool to measure your drift or the angle of certain maneuvers, you're using hex shapes and things. So that simplifies that a little bit as far as maneuvering. But the basic pledge is £50 UK, so I think like 60 some dollars, and that gets you the basic set with the a couple of maps and the rule book, and then all the other the crazy amount of game pieces. There's an expansion called the Next Gen, which gives you 2 more cars, and then 10 more dice, and then new abilities and things to go along on the 2 new gear sticks. So everything is color coded, so you can easily identify which driver is which. And then of course there's the turbo boosted pledge, which is everything, and that will include the exclusive downtown expansion to everyone that pledges, which will give you a there's like a irradiated a big day out. That's right. Big Day Out is the scenario where there's a irradiated mutant on the track that must be avoided during the race. So they do say, even though that expansion is exclusive content to this Kickstarter, they may offer it in the future on their web store or in person at conventions. It's not going to go to retail though. But the main box and its expansion, the 2 additional car expansions will be a retail release, and it looks fun. It's a pretty big board. They are doing 56 by 80 centimeter board, so it's a pretty decent sized board. There's a lot of room on it, so that's nice. They didn't like miniaturize it and scale it down, so you're going to need a decent sized table to play it on, but that means that the tracks themselves, and there's exclusive tracks of course being designed for the crowdfunding. And if you pledge, sorry, it's too late for this, but if you pledged early, there were some special gate tokens that maybe aren't cardboard or the same wooden tokens. So I think a lot of the cars and everything, I think it's going to be printed. It's going to be screen printing on wooden tokens. And they had deluxe wooden gate tokens that were included free in the first 5 days of the campaign. Unfortunately, we're beyond that, but I think you can still get those in the pledge manager for additional £10. So yeah, so nice bright day glow colors, and really a fun looking car combat game. So yeah, if you're a fan of Car Wars or Gaslands and want something a little bit, it's more, seems much more focused on racing and pickups and less with equipping a car and speccing out a combat vehicle. But it looks fun and has a nice design. And Rebellion Unplugged has done some nice stuff. So previously, they of course, Rebellion is the company that has the rights to 2000 AD. So they have been producing things related to all of those properties, and they also did their event. They had a series that was pretty cool that kind of got a little derailed by the pandemic, but their adventure series, forget what the exact name of it was, but they were having it was a magazine. It was like an RPG and a magazine. So there's a scenario and a system in a magazine that they were going to release. I think the plans were like, monthly or bi-monthly or something for a while. But that got completely derailed. So a different experience, like with every different publication. And the first two of those are out. And those are fun. Those are really nicely made. The first one, I did a little flip through on the channel. I'll put a link to that so you guys can see. But they do, the quality of their components and everything is really nice. And I really had hopes for this RPG magazine to do well, because it you can unfold the staple, and then you have handouts for the game, you have maps for the game, and then you have the rules, which are usually pretty simple D6 based rules, and the scenario itself. So yeah, I think Rebellion Unplugged is doing some decent stuff, and they're going to be handling the new version of Tunnels and Trolls. So hopefully it's in good hands. We'll know it'll look good, but hopefully they'll have some respect for the original system and everything. And so we'll see the revival of that as well. But in the meantime, you can do some combat racing with Joyride. Nice. But yeah. Yeah, so they're best known. They're the publisher now, I guess, of 2000 AD, and this unplugged version that is coming out is their board game, and I think they're re-releasing the old Rebellion Unplugged is releasing the old the classic all the Dread stuff. Judge Dredd and some of those board games that were done in the 80s, they're re-releasing, or they remastered and kind of are re-releasing. And what's the name of that series? Yeah, it's like it's adventure series that it's basically an RPG in a magazine. But yeah, they've got good connections with a lot of publishers, so hopefully things will go well, and that they're well funded enough that once Tunnels and Trolls hits its new edition, they'll go all out for that. And hopefully, it's probably be crowdfunded, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, links to all that stuff in the description of this video. And that's it. That's going to wrap it up for this solo cast. So yeah, thanks for watching or listening. And yeah, let us know in the comments what you think of Daggerheart, or if you're interested in either of those crowdfunders. Yeah, Dynamite getting that, trying to revive Fire and Ice. I mean, that's a beloved. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for Fire and Ice. I watched it just recently and remembered how slow. It's a slow, almost 70s pace. Not much music. Very quiet, and a lot of rotoscoping. And after a while, rotoscoping just kind of, grates on you. That was a big fallback. I would really love, so Bakshi used the same thing to do the Lord of the Rings film, a lot of rotoscoping. He also did this weird printing, almost like a Xerox high contrast printing of frames, to just take images of soldiers on horseback and people dressed as goblins and actually use that footage. But in rotoscoping, basically you're tracing over film frames and making them into animation cells. And so Lord of the Rings is heavy in that, but I would love to see the original film. I wish they would release all of that. There was probably 8mm or 16 that they shot of those actors, performing all those gestures and everything. And I'd love to watch that with a sync to the audio of the film itself, just to see how ridiculous Galadriel and Aragorn looked in their costume, the poor players on a stage acting out the Lord of the Rings. That would be almost as entertaining as the final product. But I digress. So of course, check out Chris, who hopefully will be back next week, at Hive Mind on all social media. And you can find me at Abuse Cartoons weekly. I do a live stream drawing my cartoon. So Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch, and Abuse Cartoons on all social media. If you want to read that cartoon, gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And if you want to support what we're doing here with the weekly, You can just simply subscribe or like this video. That helps a lot. But you can also become a member on Patreon. So we have if you specifically want to support the weekly, we have a weekling level tier pledge on Patreon. So patreon.com/upturnedtable. Become a weekling and let us know what you want to see more of. If you enjoy the Kickstarter looks and previews, or if you just want to talk game systems and news, so what you want the weekly to be, we want to kind of shape it to the audience. So check out the Patreon, and also upturnedtable.com is where everything gets posted, and Upturned Table on all social media. So I'll be posting some of our raw audio for the previous game sessions we played, and we'll be doing a live stream of the audio and basically the VTT, like one shot of of what I'm seeing on my VTT for our game sessions. And the future we'll be finishing up. The next one we'll be doing is Knave, so check that out tomorrow. Knave 2nd edition with some tweaks by Matt, and in the future some Star Trek and all kinds of stuff. I'd love to get back to there's some other systems that would be fun to play, and maybe some Traveler. Yeah, who knows? There's all kinds of things that I'll be angling for to get to the table, the virtual table, on our Friday night sessions. So thanks for joining me, and we'll be back next week with hopefully not just me. And it's good to see everyone in the chat, and thanks for joining us. Goodbye. All right. So this is the part after the podcast on the live stream where we go through the chat and answer any questions and kind of talk to everyone that's been watching. So thanks for joining. And sorry, that countdown is even more ominous when I am not even on screen. What's going to happen? 30 seconds to what? Thanks everyone for joining. So let's see. So we're talking... Oh, Soviet Gnome, how's it going? So yeah, Matt saying, Fire and Ice was pretty silly, but it's part of my youth, and I've got a soft spot for it. Yeah, the story itself was a lot. It's just, I was surprised how like little happens. Like, oh, and then they take the girl, and then she escapes, and then they get the girl, and then it's just okay. There wasn't a lot of build up or anything. Yeah. Soviet Gnome says, I do love Bakshi's animation, even the rotoscoping. I've never seen Fire and Ice. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like the closest thing we're ever going to get to like a Frazetta movie, not enough happens though. Like his dynamic illustrations and artwork, you expected a lot more to be happening. But the fights come across as pretty brutal. It's very primitive, and the kind of adversaries are a little subhuman, so it's pretty brutal. So Matt's thinking about it. Yeah, never painted the bazillion Conan minis. Yeah. So Matt was saying the weirdest thing about Fire and Ice is everyone's locked in the Stone Age, but they had wicked Iron Age weapons. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it came across as that. They've got swords, but they're all just in loincloths. Nice. Soviet Gnome said, if I had a nickel for every Kickstarter mini I didn't paint, I'd have like $100. Yes. Oh. Thank you, Queen Love. The daddy beard. Yes, well, that is a thing, isn't it? Yeah, I'm trying to get the daddy beard under control. It's brutal. This is so we're based in Japan, so Japanese summers make beards brutal. Gaslands, yeah, thank you. You guys, of course, in the chat were saving me from, stumbling around. Yeah, so that shift mechanic that Joyride had looked very similar to Gaslands, where you're probably rolling against that to determine if the maneuvers are successful. But the hexes, it appears from like their few little demo animations and stuff, it appears like the hexes are going to make the spin outs and maneuvers very easy to estimate. So that'll change things a little, because that's the thing about, Car Wars or even Gaslands, is you're measuring. And if you don't pre-measure, or, things are not quite going to happen where you want them to, yeah, it can go very badly. I think the stretch goals are with all for Joyride. I think the stretch goals were with all the versions. I didn't take a close enough look. That would suck if they only gave you stretch goals in the all-in pledge. But the expansion, the exclusive expansion, I think is in the all-in pledge. The one with the mutants, and I think there's a free expansion that they included in the campaign. But Adventure Presents, thank you, Matt. Yeah, that was their series that got derailed. Yeah, based in 76. Right. Yeah, Traveler. Yeah, Matt just backed the Mongoose Traveler Humble Bundle. So yeah, Traveler might get to the table. That would be fun. Oh, yeah, maybe coming from, let me check. Thanks, Matt, if you've been doing modding, heavy modding work. Let me check. Maybe, no, I don't see. Yeah, there's a couple of people on Twitch. Yeah, we're going out to a couple of random places now. So let me see. But thank you for the. Let me get the Streamlabs up. There was a follow that I appreciate. Let's double check all of that so I can thank the appropriate people. But yeah, I appreciate the subscribes and the follows on. I think it might be Twitch, Matt, that you're seeing. But what comes up there? Yeah, Real Matrix. Yeah, followed on Twitch. Yeah, I think that's Twitch that you're seeing, Matt. So thank you, Real Matrix, for the follow. Yeah, I think I had the chat above the Streamlabs, so cut off the name. There we go. So let's see if this is better. There we go. Yes, now it's on top. Real Matrix. Thank you for the Twitch follow. Yeah, our numbers are pretty bad on Twitch, and based on the time difference, yeah, I don't know if it's a great time to be streaming on Twitch. Maybe later at night. This time would be better. Who knows? But excellent. So yeah, good to see everybody. Thanks, Matt. I know you must be tired after a night out. I appreciate you hanging out and oh right, yeah, yes, that's right. You're YouTube mod. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not seeing it's weird. The combined messages get posted. Where's this going? Yeah, get posted differently. Yeah, I think it's all from Twitch. Yeah, don't worry. They haven't been. Sometimes we get like spammy stuff, but it hasn't been too bad. Oh, I'm sorry. No, the K is coming from Kick. That's right. The green Ks are coming from Kick.com, which was the Twitch alternative, the Twitch competitor. So there you go. Yes. There we go. That's who the green Ks are. Thank you, Matt, for spotting those. Yes. That they just Restream just started offering some Kick access to Kick. So yeah, we're it's not showing any followers, but we are getting some messages. All right. So yeah, that's the green Ks are Kick. Nice. So yeah, it's I don't think they took off very well, but yeah, if anyone's watching from Kick, thanks, and give us a follow. I think people just dropped in and said hey. Oh yeah, I'll have to figure out if oh yeah, yeah. Everything is not quite where it should be on Kick, and I don't think they have. They're mostly focused on gaming, on video game streaming, so they don't have RPG categories or anything yet on Kick, as far as I know. So sorry, I'm not trying to make your life more difficult, Matt. You don't have to get a Kick account. Yeah, they just dropped in and then dropped out because there's no viewers right now. Yeah, I don't. I think it's. I saw a few streamers, obviously like regular Twitch streamers, trying to bring their audience over to Kick and sitting there with like 100 viewers when they would usually have 10,000, going, "Okay, well I'll do this for another hour, but after that I'm done." Yeah, so I guess it didn't work. They were the ones too, I think, that tried to. They bought off, like they, offered big contracts to some of the top Twitch streamers to buy them onto the platform and try to get people to move. But I don't think it worked because if you look, oh, that's right, and they have Kick. Hey, Real Matrix. Kick has gambling streaming, so you can watch people play slot machines and stuff on Kick. So yeah, that's the big difference. They have, of course, they've got the hot tub and swimming pool streams, but they also have gambling streams. So you can watch people play video poker and slots and stuff, which is really bizarre. But of course, so those are the big draws for Kick. Is yeah, if you go to the main page, which they're saying is still in beta, nobody. There's just no viewers, and the biggest numbers are all are all slot machines and video poker. Yeah, the numbers are pretty small compared to Twitch. Matt is not a fan. I'm taking it. Matt is not excited. Yes, watch people play slot machines. Yes, they actually have in Japan. They have slot machines and pachinko magazines. So I've seen people on the train reading a magazine about strategies for slot machines and pachinko. Yeah, so there are some. I think probably much more in Asia. There's a lot of interest in slots. Yeah, what is that? So unboxing, you get to see what it's like to open something you may want to own or may not ever own. So vicarious enjoyment. A video game is kind of you're hanging out, like it's simulating sitting on a sofa next to somebody playing a game and just bullshitting with them. But what exactly is so like sitting over someone's shoulder as they play a slot machine? I guess though maybe you get a little bit of the endorphin rush if you're super inclined that way. Maybe you get a little bit of the rush that when they get a jackpot or whatever. You get a little bit of that rush watching it, so it's a way to stay away from the stay away from your addiction. You're not spending any money, but you're getting a little bit of that hit. Nice. Yes, you're right, Soviet Gnome. Twitch is owned by Amazon. I know. How do you compete with that? With the Bezos empire. I don't know, and I don't know who is behind Kick, but that was their attempt because their big, I think, their ploy or their strategy is to have a much more fair split, because I think Twitch has a pretty bad split. It's like 60-40 or it's 70-30. It's not good. And I think Kick was doing like straight 10 or something to try to entice people to get bigger share of the revenue. But unless they're a huge platform with good advertisers and good partners, which Amazon definitely has, they're not going to be able to pull that off. Yeah, so nice. Yeah, good to see you, dude. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, with Twitch being such a monopoly, they don't have to. And I think they just recently like made it worse. Like the deal keeps getting worse all the time for Twitch streamers. Yeah, and that only hurts like the people, kind of in the middle that are barely making. They can't live off of that money. They're barely making it, and if that percentage hurts them a lot more than the bigger guys, even though it's a bigger amount of money. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And I wonder how long, if game streaming will be with us forever, or if it's going to start to go away. I don't know. But it's enough of a hangout. Like you have enough of that parasocial thing going on, I think, with game streamers. And it's the thing is, like, I can't do anything. I mean, drawing the cartoon that I do is the longest amount of time I can spend doing something, and I can barely ever even do that for 4 hours. So streaming expects, regular, more than 4 hours and up sessions. So I don't know anything besides playing video games that could support that. Well, I guess, yeah, slot machines. But yeah, it's strange. And from what I saw on Kick, it's, they're not playing actual slot machines. They're playing, websites, slot machines on websites. So like video poker and slot machines on the internet. So it's really weird. And as soon as they go for the gambling angle or things that Twitch doesn't allow, that they're already, getting into shady territory. Like all their partners are going to be, the Russian mafia and the triad in China. I don't know. Who knows what nonsense that creates. Yeah. Hey Abyss, how's it going? Good to see you. Solo cast this week. So just a little touch on some topics, and yeah, and thank you, Matt, for hanging in there. Nice to see you guys. Yeah, so very cool. Yeah, I gotta time up because I go back and read the chat in the past. I should be reading what's live on the screen. That would make the video at least a little more watchable. There's such a weird time delay. But yeah, we'll get that sorted more. I want to play around a little bit more with the weekly and see if there's some other things we can do to make it to make it function. Yeah, I guess I hope that it's okay that it's a live stream and a podcast. That's the thing that may or may not be working, or may help improve it. Yes, and I'm definitely interested to see how the community reacts to Daggerheart. So far, the YouTubers that I've seen have been like just scratching their heads, wondering what the heck that's gonna, what they're doing with that. So does Kick have a lot of bikini hot gamer girls? Yeah, but the platform sucks, so they're just smoking and looking at their phones. Yeah, probably. I can imagine. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Yeah, oof. Yeah, there's people walking around. There's some IRL stuff in some weird places. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you really do have to be an alternative. Right now, Kick looks too much like a Twitch clone. It's, green instead of purple, basically. A Twitch clone. But they're really going to have to focus in on something that Twitch can never do. Yeah, because their categories and stuff, they're totally just knocking them off. It's interesting too. Just chatting is always it's just always not getting a lot of views compared to some of the popular games, but the just chatting on Kick is their biggest category right now. That's weird. Pools, hot tubs, and bikinis is a category. Yeah, I think you're right, Matt. It is basically girls just looking at their phone in bikinis. Oh man, yeah, that's so funny. Yes. What a world! What a world! Yeah, Matt is begging for that asteroid. Oh, Abyss is saying, yeah, no big advertiser, so they can get away with the white supper. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there. That's true. That's going to be Kick's angle. Yeah, it looks a little more out of control, a little more toxic. Yeah, we haven't had anybody. So I was hoping to. I wanted to just choose another option for the stream. and was hoping to do Instagram, but they're slowly rolling out their streaming to Instagram, so don't have that yet. So once my account is enabled for, it's like producer status or whatever, once it's enabled for streaming, then we'll be there. But in the meantime, so we were on D Live. Nobody, I think, ever saw us on D Live. So yeah, we were on D Live before. So I guess though we're actually getting some notification. So my weird solo stream. So it must have been strange because I wasn't wearing a bikini. People on Kick were puzzled by what exactly was happening. Yeah, I'm working on my following, Matt. I'm gonna be in a hot tub next week on the weekly. So, oh man, yeah, it's strange. As these like nobody, YouTube and Twitch are basically, you can't compete with them. They're basically monopolies that no one's gonna beat. So yeah, and it would be nice. It'd be nice if, just like GameFound and BackerKit are kind of breaking away. GameFound is like specifically tabletop crowdfunding. It'd be nice if there was a tabletop streaming platform for actual plays. That'd be so cool if you were just searching by game system. I guess that's, maybe Alchemy can start to move towards that. They're not going to have advertising or anything, but they could start to move towards you go on a website and you look at who's playing what games, and you can just jump in and observe, live streams of actual plays. Yes, I'll definitely got to talk Chris into that. We'll just put an inflatable pool on the roof of the office and sit in there for a whole weekly. Matt's gonna consider his patron status if that's happening. You mean you're gonna shift to the hot tub only tier? Yeah, that's funny. Oh, instead of superheroes in Star Wars, yeah, right. Just go full Hasbro. Yeah, we should do a full like We Love Hasbro edition. I think Chris couldn't stay in character throughout that whole thing. Yeah, this should be a segment though where we put on our glasses with the tape on them and our ugly sweaters with D20s on them, and talk about how much we can't wait for the latest release, that Big B presents the Giants of whatever is gonna be great. Oh yeah, there was something when I was just going through articles from this week. Somebody was talking about the sales of the new releases for 5e are really abysmal because they haven't explained well enough to people. Like, speaking of Wizards of the Coast hasn't really explained well enough that everything's going to be backwards compatible. Everything's still going to work. They're not changing anything. There isn't a new edition coming, which seems a little dishonest. And people still are very suspicious, so they don't want to buy any of these 5e books that are coming out, in this year, because next year there's supposedly going to be a new edition of the game, and people don't know for sure. They don't feel very secure in the fact that everything is going to be working. So yeah, the book sales are pretty abysmal. So Vietnam says, just sell out already. Just start shilling. Show the big boys. Oh, nice. Yeah. That would be fun to go through 5e stuff, and yeah, because it would be interesting. I wonder, someone's probably doing this on YouTube, but looking at original releases and then like Strahd or some of the stuff that they've done for 5e that have been like Icewind Dale or whatever, and see like what they kind of changed and how they kind of just ruined the feeling of the original. Something like that might be fun. Every time I say Wizards, everyone, yeah, it's either drinking or clapping. Yeah. show all the new products. Yeah, there's D20s that transform into monsters now. All that Hasbro synergy. Yeah, I wonder what. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if next year there's going to be a big. I mean, people will be interested. People will be paying attention to whatever this whole anniversary celebration. But if Wizards handles the D&D anniversary as poorly as they did the Magic the Gathering, then yeah, well, I guess it'll be a lot for us to talk about the fiasco. Kindergarten in space, or it's Spelljammer. Yeah, there has to be something in there because those I forget the guys that went through Oriental Adventures page by page, the two Korean guys that were defending Japanese culture or whatever. That went through Oriental Adventures. They got a lot of attention for riffing on old supplements. Yeah. Yeah, very curious. Wow. A 2-year, $70 million non-exclusive deal to the platform. Does that mean Kick? Wow. So that beats LeBron James's 2-year deal with the Lakers. Oh no. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, so somebody with big funding, probably Chinese funding, is trying to throw their weight around and compete with Twitch. It's so weird. I can't imagine. I would have to think that streaming audiences were pretty fickle, and they could just dry up pretty fast. Who knows? But wow, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when they first launched, and they're still in beta, so they haven't gotten anywhere as far as developing the platform. Maybe they were just waiting for it to the numbers to be high enough. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. Yeah, so yeah, I should have my actual bookshelves behind me, but I still have from my cartoon stream. I still have my green screen down, so I just put this graphic of somebody else's RPG collection. Or I could just take a photo of mine and put it behind me. That's funny. But yeah, this was more when I had Matt in a window, in the Discord window. It just was a nice texture for a background, just bookshelves of RPG volumes. But with me sitting in front of it, it looks a little it looks a little strange. Oh man. Wow. All right. Well, cool. So yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out in the chat, and yeah, Chris's little one is sick, so hopefully we'll be back to full strength next week. But it was kind of a sudden thing, and there is still a lot of corona going around. It seemed for some reason to peak again in the summer here, and maybe because of the festival season and stuff. And a lot of people, it's so funny, people just need a suggestion in Japan to do whatever, to follow guidelines. If you suggest it, there's no police enforcement or anything. There's no consequences if you don't. But if you suggest it, people will follow along. But as soon as you say it's not necessary to wear masks anymore, then people just stop. And even though it's very much part of Japanese culture for flu season and allergy season, spring pollen, now people, even if they've tested positive for corona, are walking around with no masks in convenience stores and everything. So it's very funny. It's very weird how random people's thinking is here. Nice. Oh, Numenera's on the shelf. Yeah. Sorry. So this isn't my shelf. It wouldn't be my. It doesn't. Yeah, look like quite my taste and a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, right by my ear. It's Numenera. Yeah, they just needed to fill some space. Yeah, and I wasn't expecting this. Was very last minute, so I used what I had for the stream. Oh, nice. A little spike in viewers. Oh yeah, excellent. Yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out and watching. And of course, this goes into the archive. The audio for this goes onto the Patreon RSS feed, so a little bit sweetened, so you don't hear any air conditioning sounds or anything to make it nicer. And yeah, you don't have to clap. Yeah, Numenera is what Monty Cook. So yeah, you don't have to clap. Yeah, I'm surprised the that Appalachia game got a lot of attention too. The Old Gods of Appalachia. Yeah, that had a pretty good Kickstarter. I was really surprised. There's so many people. So there must be a lot of gamers like originally from that region, or with family and ties to that region, because there were so many people in that Kickstarter that we're talking about. I'm so happy to see this. I hope you include this. I hope you have this. So a lot of the stories and kind of cryptids, or whatever you want to consider them, the folk monsters. They really wanted all of that stuff to be included. So it has kind of a bit of a rabid following. Maybe not very big, but yeah, I was surprised. But it's the system. It's that Monty Cook system. So the setting was interesting, but I'm not sure the setting was, or the system was very interesting. Right. Yes, that Monty Cook. uh, oh no. Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, maybe that it's worth taking a look at what they did with that. And I'm sure there's some. Oh no, that's right. That was the interesting thing about it, and maybe why there were so many followers is because they were working with a podcast, an American Cryptid podcast for the Appalachia game. So a podcast that's specifically focused on Appalachian, cryptids. So yeah, no, but that would be a good. It'd be a you'd want to have a balance, though. I guess Vaesen kind of did that. You're going to like fishing villages and small villages. Yeah, yeah. I guess it would kind of work. You could go down to the hollers, and be hired by the coal companies or whatever to go to the hollers and uncover stuff. That might work, but you don't want to like have it like kind of make the Appalachian residents, like make them too much caricatures and like this weird background kind of thing. But no, that's good. You're right, Matt. That would be a cool setting. That's what I was thinking about with the Midwest stuff, is having a weird update. I don't know. I think the tension that I was thinking about would be a little bit different, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's totally going to work. But that Rust Belt kind of Midwest stuff, it can be a bit of a wasteland. Wasn't quite there in the '80s, but it was headed there. Nice. Oh yeah, yeah. I wonder if he said much about 5e releases. If Monty Cook is, yeah, he definitely knows how to do crowdfunding though. All of their crowdfunding campaigns for that Monty Cook games are just out of the park. So they must have like a good promotion engine for that stuff, and yeah, he's got a good reputation among players because yeah, all of their crowdfunders do gangbusters. And it's stuff that's like, I've never heard of this. I don't know what this is. And they do well. Yeah. Name recognition alone. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no. No, I don't think I did. The Fireball Cryptid thing. No. I lived in northwestern Illinois. So kind of at the the crossroads, the three-way between Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa, like right at that corner. So, and it was funny too because the time that I was there, the drinking age in Wisconsin was still 18 and it was 21 in Illinois. So what do you think happened? All the high school kids would drive up to the liquor stores right across the state line, and cops would just be waiting there for them to come back into Illinois to take their booze away. But yeah, it's funny. A bunch of like gas stations opened their little quickie mart kind of stuff right at the border to take advantage of that, because you could sell to kids that just wanted to hop over state lines to get your case of Schaefer's or whatever horrible beer they could afford. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I don't remember the. Yeah, there wasn't in the '80s. I don't remember a lot of cryptid talk. My cousin's really into cryptids in the Midwest, but I think that's more of a. I think that it was an internet age thing. I think more millennials had that because and that's when all the internet-born cryptids like Slenderman and stuff started existing. But I think the popularity and the ability to look at those, or like have access to those stories and information, really changed with the younger online generations. Nice. All right. Well, cool. Well, I think I'll wrap it up for this week. Oh, here we go. I was just saying. Oh, interesting. Yeah. The lack of fighters in Monty Cook's stuff is very noticeable because he views them as inferior. Because how can a man with a sharp stick beat a magical beam of death? Yes. Yeah, Abyss talking about Monty Cook's perspective. Hey, Zan, how's it going? Visitor from Twitch. Nice. Thanks for dropping in on the stream on Twitch. Matt says, I like the rural thing. You drive out in the country road, turn off your lights, and a fireball would shoot down the road. Oh, had a friend in Southern Illinois. His family would talk about it. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if it was more of a Southern Illinois thing. That's cool. Because the area where I lived was really strange. The glaciers totally missed it. It's right by the Mississippi River Valley, and the glaciers kind of avoided it. So it flattened out most of Illinois and Iowa to be like that flat farmland, but that little corner of Illinois is kind of mountainous. They actually have ski resorts and things there. So, that's cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard that. That's pretty awesome. It might be a Southern Illinois thing, and I wasn't there. Yeah, I lived there for about 4 years. Yeah, so not so long. Yes, very very X-Files sounding. So Vietnam. That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to look at all of that stuff for doing a Midwest Vaesen, Middle America, Monsters of Middle America. Nice. Yeah, there's got to be. Yeah, that's not a bad title actually, but some sort of something that would cover that Rust Belt and kind of that abandoned, the failed small steel towns and all that going on. That'd be a cool setting, I think. So excellent. Well, cool. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and on Twitch and Kick and all of these amazing platforms we're now appearing on. Yeah, so this so you can find this stream on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and now Kick, and someday possibly Instagram. And stay tuned for the all slot machine stream. I wonder if Wizards of the Coast have licensed D&D for. I wonder if there's any vague. That has to be coming soon. Hasbro has to be thinking that way, licensing the IP for slots, those video slots and stuff in Vegas. That'd be so funny. With all the animation and the screens and stuff. You could have beholders and mind flayers and so many reasons to keep pulling that lever. All right. Oh, Abyss. Yeah, we should be getting ready for Dragonbane. The next thing after Knave, I think we'll do is a little one of the kind of weekly adventure things for Star Trek, which may only take 2 sessions. So we can jump in and out of those. Once we create characters, we can always go back to that, because there's a series. There's 2 volumes of probably about almost 20 adventures that are kind of like weekly episodes of Star Trek. So for the Star Trek RPG, we can jump in and out of that. So yeah, we should be doing some Dragonbane though. I'd really love to. No Spock. Or Spock's sister named Michael. What's going on? Yeah, there's too many Spocks now in the world, aren't there? Yes. Yeah, I'd love to run Dragonbane and do some original characters and yeah, the adventures. I took a quick look. I didn't go too in depth, but the adventures the book that came with the Dragonbane basics that look good. They look fun to run. So I think we should do it. And genetically modified Klingons, and so sexy. Yeah, that was really weird. I never noticed that before. I mean, this is probably a terrible thing to say to the actors, but it seems like they specifically went for physically unattractive people to play the Klingons, so that they looked more alien or something. So that it was just weird. I never had noticed that they I thought it was just like, everyone was that standard actor person look. You could see everyone's headshot that was on the Star Trek series, but in Discovery, a lot of that casting for Klingons, there were some funky looking folks that I don't think would get TV roles if they weren't under all that makeup. Anyhow. Nice. Yeah, it's getting damn silly, and lots of Spock. Well, we'll definitely have Spock, resurrected and speaking to the characters. All right, everyone. So yeah, everyone take care, and we'll be back again next week in some form. And yeah, thanks for watching. So Abyss and Matt and everyone in the chat, thanks so much for hanging out. And yeah, and Soviet Gnome, very cool. Thanks for hanging with us. And Dude, as always, on the streams and all the drop-ins from Twitch and Kick. Thank you guys for giving us a look. I'm sure it's not exactly as exciting as a hot tub stream, but what are you gonna do? All right, so see everyone next week, and take care. Goodbye.